Visit my Substack for the original article. One of the most common questions I've seen people ask authors is, where do you get your ideas from? I totally get that. You'll see stories out there that have $1 million concept that seems to carry the whole film or book, like Minority Report, Halloween, or I Am Not a Serial Killer. And you want to know how they get these ideas. There has to be a special formula that lets them come up with them, right? Nope. Sorry.
No!
When talking about one of his short stories, Stephen King said he was inspired by a missing persons poster, the kind you see at a local Sam's Club or get in the mail on the back of a coupon sheet. How many millions of people receive mail just like that without coming up with a story idea for it? It's a little disconcerting, right? He just snapped his fingers and came up with it. How do I, a normal person, do something like that? I mentioned in an earlier article that I wasn't very original when I started out writing stories. Most people aren't. If you're learning, learn from the best, which for me meant copying every event word for word with the exception of dialogue from my self-insert.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
These authors that I adored had created worlds so lifelike you wanted to live in them. So the easiest thing to do was pretend you could. Yet after a few years of doing this, I realized something. There were one or two things I'd like to change.
You know, I feel like Lord of the Rings would be cooler if you could visit the edge of the world. Wouldn't that be cool?
Great, but Tolkien has been dead for decades, so the odds of that happening are pretty low. What about Deckard spending more time in the Los Angeles of a dystopian 2019? I want to see more of the city, dang it! Do people live in the sewers? What do the off-world colonies look like? Wouldn't it be cool if the Death Star was a transformer and could turn into Unicron? I mean, to be fair, Spaceballs did beat me to that. This brings me to an important topic. As I said in the previously mentioned earlier article, there is a quote out there. If there's a book you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. More and more I was finding things that I wanted to change. I wanted a story about the Human Torch, except he was made of lightning. Lightning is cooler than fire, fight me. And I wanted him to beat Sauron with a sword as tall as he was. Sounds like a story to me, and it's moved from being a pirated story to being a partial ripoff. That's progress. I guess.
Unacceptable condition!
Congratulations, you've done it. I have found that coming up with ideas is like doing push-ups. The more you do, the easier it is. An example, I was playing a video game one day, and while I was perusing my inventory and its 7 or 8 guns, I asked myself how one would feasibly carry this much junk. An interesting idea came to me. What if there were these pocket dimensions that you could reach into and put whatever you had stored in there out at will? What if, and this is where it gets really cool, you could store armor that would materialize around your body when you needed it? Boom! Idea! I started crafting a world around that, and all of a sudden, I had one of those $1 million concepts, and a horrible short story called Bad Graphics was born. I'll be posting some of those for paid subscribers on Substack only. It's the only way I'll keep any self-respect. A fun side effect of coming up with these ideas is that new ones will sprout as you consider the implications of this idea. If we had machines that let us control the flow of gravity, how would that affect architecture? How would it affect warfare? Suddenly, a whole new world sprouts from this one idea. Sometimes the ideas combine, and that's when sparks really start flying. To reiterate, write what you want to read. Re-examine your world and ask yourself what you would like to know. Who, or what, lives at the end of that gravel road you pass twice a day? Why is this building rotting and not being demolished? Who was that strange fellow ahead of you at the checkout? The answers may surprise you. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, you now have my permission to leave me alone.